Welcome to the channel. This is Holden from Classroom Camp. You know, over the past few weeks, I have been following a story, and that story is the case of Superintendent Ryan Walters in Oklahoma and his requirement that any teachers coming into Oklahoma from California or New York have to take what I have deemed the woke assessment. You heard that correctly. Now, this woke assessment is basically a test designed to weed out liberal educators because Ryan Walters has taken a strong stance and said, we're not having any liberal ideology here in the state of Oklahoma. Oh, no, you are going to have to take a test, and if you can't pass this test, you are not going to get your teacher certification in Oklahoma. And apparently, the full question list for that test that teachers are having to take has been released to the public. So we're going to take a look at that today. And the article that I'm pulling from is on news9.com. The headline reads, PragerU reveals full list of questions from Oklahoma's new America First teacher test. This was published on Sunday, August 31st, 2025. The synopsis here says, teachers moving to Oklahoma from California or New York will now be required to pass a newly unveiled America First certification test, a 34-question exam designed in partnership with PragerU and championed by State Superintendent Ryan Walters as a way to block what he calls radical leftist ideology from entering classrooms. Exactly as I told you. Now, here in the article, it says, what's on the test? The full exam has been released publicly and the list of questions has been obtained by News 9. Now, as I said here, this is a 34-question test, so I'm not going to read all of the questions. I'm just going to read a few of them for you, but I will link this article down in the description if you would like to read all of the questions. But we're going to go ahead, like I said, and just take a look at a few of these and some of the key ones that are highlighted here in this article. So the first one here is, what was Abraham Lincoln's primary reason for waging the Civil War? The options are to preserve states' rights, to abolish slavery, C, to preserve the Union, or D, to end the Union. And, I probably would pick B, to abolish slavery. Let me know down in the comments if that is correct. Another question highlighted says, should teachers be allowed to express their own political viewpoints in the classroom in order to persuade the students to adopt their point of view? Now, this seems like common sense. Option A says, yes, teachers have freedom of speech too, which does not stop at the classroom door. B, no, once you become a teacher, your freedom of speech in and out of the classroom is restricted. C, yes, sometimes when the issue involves civil rights or social justice. Or D, no, the classroom is not an appropriate venue for political activism. Now, look, I think B and D are correct, but I would actually choose D because I agree with this, that the classroom is not appropriate venue for political activism. I don't necessarily think freedom of speech is restricted. That's just, I don't agree with that, but this seems like common sense to me. The answer is no. Yeah. But anyways, some of the other questions here, these are cultural and identity related questions. One of them is, why is freedom of religion important to America's identity? What is the fundamental biological distinction between males and females? And the answer is chromosomes and reproductive anatomy. Well, true. How is a child's biological sex typically identified? The answer is visual and anatomical observation and chromosomes. Now, I don't know, depending on what the option choices were, would I get this correct? Probably, but we'll see. What did the Supreme Court rule in 2025 case Mound versus Taylor? I've never even heard of this case. But the answer says public schools cannot require participation in LGBTQ themed instruction without parental opt-out. What did the Emancipation Proclamation do? Ended slavery in the rebelling Confederate States. I got that. What right does the Second Amendment protect? The right to keep and bear arms. All right. There's also some civics and history basics. What are the first three words of the Constitution? We the people. Okay, so we the people. In the last video that I recorded talking about this, I said, look, I couldn't tell you what the first three words of the Constitution are, to be honest. But yeah, I think if I had multiple choices and I saw "We the People," I probably would guess that. Doesn't seem like too difficult of a question, but look, I'm not a history person, so if that was a short answer, probably wouldn't get that correct. But let's see, how many U.S. senators are there? 100. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. When was the Declaration of Independence adopted? July 4th, 1776. Now, look, if you said it was July 4th, I got that. But if all of the answers were like July 4th and there were these dates close to 1776, I probably wouldn't get that. How did the Cold War end? The Soviet Union collapsed. Let's see. There are some other questions on government structure. Who signs bills into laws? The president. What is the supreme law of the United States? The Constitution. All right. Patriotic symbolism. Why are there 13 stripes on the American flag? To symbolize the original colonies. I would get that. Foundational ideas. Why is freedom of religion important to America's identity? It protects religious choice from government control. That's interesting that this question is on the test, because I do believe that, Ryan Walters, he's a conservative Christian, or at least that's my opinion. And, if I am understanding this correctly, I'm pretty sure that he has, tried to get Bibles into all schools and has tried to use state funds to get Bibles in all schools, and, has like advocated Bible-based curricula. And, to have this question of freedom of religion and the answer, I think that I'm not sure if this is the true answer or what has been provided by, whoever released these questions. It protects religious choice from government control. It's kind of like, I understand the answer there, but also, it's kind of like that question about teachers. Is it appropriate to bring your political views into the classroom? No, it's not the appropriate time to to express political activism. It's like, couldn't you say the same thing applies to the government? That like, it's not the time to push your religious views. Considering that that Ryan Walters has advocated for Christianity, over other religions. I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but I think you get what I'm saying. It just seems a little weird that this question is on here. Now it says certificate of completion. Those who finish the exam receive a digital certificate of completion issued by PragerU. Their certificate, which can be reattempted until a passing score is achieved, verifies that applicants have successfully passed what the certificate calls a teacher qualification test. And here you can see a picture of the certification. Look at this. Certificate of completion. This is a certified that blank has successfully completed the teacher qualification test. Wow. All right. Looks very nice there. Now, one question that I have here is like, these questions are being listed and released. So, if you're a teacher who is coming into Oklahoma and are worried about this at all, then you can see what the questions are going to be, and you can just, on this, on News 9, it's telling you what the answers are. So you can memorize the answers and easily pass this. It just seems like such a, why go through the trouble of having teachers do this when it's going to be put out like this and the answers are out there so easily? Like, it just seems senseless. I don't know. But I just want to read a few of the statements made by Ryan Walters, because they're posted here in this article. It says Walters' defense and national implications. It says here, Walters has defended the requirement as a safeguard against what he describes as California and New York mandates teaching 27 genders and erasing differences between men and women. You're going to have to know what a woman is. You're going to have to show that you understand the basics of American government and American history, Walters said in an interview with News 9. Walters says the initiative could serve as a model for other states, saying that officials elsewhere have already reached out with interest. Look, if other states tried to do this, like, I will be shocked. I will be shocked because this is, I mean, I've already expressed that I think that this is just crazy. It's absurd. And at this point, it is kind of senseless that you're doing this. And some of the comments from my other videos, people were saying, like, as if people, like, who wants to move to Oklahoma? If you're in California or New York, like, why would you want to move to Oklahoma? That's what other people are saying. And look, no disrespect to Oklahoma. I've been there maybe once or twice. I've been to Broken Bow, which is a nice place. I went to Beaver's Bend. I went camping there a couple of summers ago. Great place. I love nature. I don't know too much about Oklahoma, but I did enjoy my stay there. But I can't think of any reason why I would just move to Oklahoma. I don't have family there either. But let's see what critics are saying. It says, opponents say the move could further strain Oklahoma's already thin teacher pipeline. Representative Cindy Munson called it another day of chaos and confusion brought to us by the state superintendent, while Democratic Party Chair John Waldron said it is a sad echo of a more paranoid past. Teachers are not rushing here from other states to teach, Waldron said. We've got an enormous teaching shortage, and it's not like we have a giant supply of teachers coming in from blue states anyway. Roughly 250 current Oklahoma teachers may also be asked to take the test under Walter's plan. The Oklahoma State Department of Education has said no taxpayer funds were used to develop the exam, saying that PragerU created it without contracts or payments. So some of the stuff that I've already said, stated by the politicians in Oklahoma, like, we already got a teacher shortage. It's going to put strain on the teaching situation there. And then why would anyone, it's not like we have people beating down the door to come in and teach in Oklahoma. So, who is this test truly designed for? It just seems a little crazy. And again, I've said this in past videos, Ryan Walters, some of the stuff that I have read about him and some of the things that he has tried to do, he's the kind of guy that, I would love to sit down and interview and just be like, look, can you explain some of this? Can you just fully flesh out all of your thoughts? Because we get snippets of, like, his thought process in these articles and just a few of the interviews that he's done, but, like, can we really just have him sit down, go on Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn or, like, one of those podcasters, and just sit down and, like, talk to this guy. That's what I would truly like to see, because he seems really interesting. But that is all I've got for you. As I said, I thought it was pretty interesting that these questions are now released and you can see what they are. You can read them for yourself, and I'm going to post a link to them down in the description so you can check out the full list of questions in this article at your earliest convenience. But anyways, hey, what do you think about these questions that we looked at? What do you think overall about this test in Oklahoma? Let me know down in the comment section. Also, hey, hit all the buttons, like, subscribe, share this video. Make sure that you stay tuned to Classroom Camp, because I got lots of great content coming out for you here in the future. And yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.